All right, I believe we are live. So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. Interestingly, I know that this has been pitched to everybody as having Chris, our lead designer for the L1X app, and also our CXO Cody here. And look, would you believe that he's not here? And he's, I assume, trying to get into this link, which is all very hilarious. So he'll be with us very shortly. You'd think we would have the tech worked out as a tech company at this stage. We are getting better, obviously. We'll kick this off real cash to begin with, just so we can get a handle on where we're at and everything like that. And most importantly as well, we can give you guys an intro to Chris. And then that way Chris can introduce himself to the community and just give us an idea, maybe even an overview of what your role is, how you fit in, because I know what it's like. Obviously, us being very front end, everybody knows sort of and sees us, but more so for you, obviously, you work on the front end from the back end, so it's like you don't get as much front end time. So even if you want to do a quick intro while we wait for Cody to jump up, which I see has just joined us now.
Thanks, Joe. Hi, everyone. My name is Chris, and look, I'm thrilled to be here today as the lead designer behind the L1X app. I've had the incredible opportunity to delve deep into the world of blockchain and how it's changing our approach to user interface and user experience design.
Awesome. And I see we've got you here, Cody. I'll just do a mic check for you. Can you hear us fine?
I can. Can you hear me?
I totally can. This is best ever 101. We're absolutely winning, having everybody on, everybody be able to hear and see each other. Obviously by now most of you are probably familiar with Cody, but even Cody, you want us to give us a quick overview who you are in your role as CXO, what exactly it is that you do, just so anyone new watching has a quick idea.
For sure. My name is Cody, and I'm the Chief Experience Officer over at Layer 1X, and I get to basically kind of tell people how to improve the user experience of things. But more importantly, my role is that I champion the voice of our community and make sure that as we're making business decisions that we try to take into consideration what our customers want and make sure that we're trying to keep a good balance of having a customer-centric approach to how we're doing our business and specifically in design and across all different departments within the company.
Fantastic. And I see we've already got some special names for you in the chat, the flat brim hat master. I'm sure there's a variety of other things, but we don't need to go into those. So this session is obviously, it's not obvious, but I'll tell you, it's all about why UI and UX matters. And there couldn't be two better gentlemen on this call to go through that and what that looks like. So we're just going to dive straight in and just hang on to the questions. And we're going to have questions, I suppose, come through from the community as well. We'll probably hold those towards the end. If we have time, we can jump on and answer some of those as well. But let's kick this off. So we'll start with, we say UI UX is crucial for adoption, but have we unconsciously imitated Web 2 design patterns? Could a truly groundbreaking blockchain experience look radically different from anything we're familiar with? I think that's an excellent question because what we know is what we know already. Are we modeling that, or are we on the cutting edge and doing something different? Who wants to kick us off with that?
I'll take a swing at it, and then I'll let you, Chris, dive more into it. How about that? When I was putting together the experience team here at Layer 1X, we went through the hiring process for designers quite a bit, and one of the things, I don't know if Chris remembers, but one of the things that I told you is that it's a safe place when you come to work here, in the sense that it's a collaboration, and it is going to be us pushing the boundaries of design to beyond our current capabilities of what we think we could do. And for me, it's kind of like we are definitely going to be pushing the envelope of what we're experiencing in Web 2 versus what we're experiencing in Web 3. And so, to be honest, out of all the designers that we spoke with, although Chris didn't have tons of crypto experience, his insight and thought process of how he methodically thinks things through really resonated with me, because that's what we were looking for, to be able to have a team that could push the boundaries. And he was pretty much the only one. He stood out as the clear winner in my mind, and so we were extremely lucky to get him. And I'm glad that he's kind of leading the front on brand design and the L1X app and a few things like that. So take it over, Chris. Your turn.
Yeah. Thanks, Cody. What an intro. Well, it's been a real journey. I was interested in crypto and blockchain technology. Never worked in the industry directly, so my experience working here was things like Binance and the centralized exchanges and that sort of environment. There's a lot to learn when you interact with those sorts of applications, those products online. And what I did realize is, just to get someone who's totally not familiar with blockchain and crypto, and it's you've really got to approach it differently and guide the user in a way where never expect them to understand everything, and the language that you use, moving a user from a Web 2 environment into a Web 3 environment. It should be a gradual process, and that's one thing that we've really been emphasizing in building out the L1X app. There's so many things we could talk about in terms of where we've started with that and how to best onboard users into our app.
I think there's a good question here, and I'm going to just jump to it. Sorry, Joe, kind of taking over here a little bit. But I think this is a great question. And this is from, let's see here, Chaos 70. Sorry, somebody just typed something.
Ruining my game flow here, just ruining it. It's questions for the end, Cody, and now you're just going to take one.
No. I'm just going to jump in, because this is pertinent to what he was just talking about. So this is from Chaos 77. Question: everybody has different aesthetic tastes. How does L1X aim to cater for everybody? And I think that's a huge question, especially for us. And it's been a unique challenge, right? And from anybody that knows L1X, we're basically like data heavy, right? And we want to be able to pull in all of this different data, especially with our cross-chain capability of interoperability, which is known as XTalk. Not only does it allow you to move assets, but it allows you to move data and logic. So those are two new components that nobody's ever dealing with. Let's be honest, like nobody's really doing what we're doing in terms of interoperability, but in the same sense, nobody's adding two new components to that as well. You've got your bridges out there that'll do just basic token asset swaps, like tokens and NFTs and stuff like that. So, what kind of challenge has that been for you, Chris, kind of adding in all these different kind of components? Because there is a methodology to try to figure all this out, but it has been a challenge. I'll just put it that way. So
that's right. So reinventing the wheel is not the approach here. What you want to do is take existing design, ethos and design that's out there that works, and slowly integrate it into this new blockchain interoperability world that we live in now in Layer 1X. So I think you don't want to take a big jump into some new, totally, otherworldly experience, which maybe it'll go in that direction in years to come. I think you need to be able to take people from something that they're familiar with, and take all the great design and everything that's been done out there in the world, and bring it into the tech that we have, and slowly, bring people into what we have to offer. And a big part of that is communicating to the user every step. A centralized environment takes care of a lot of those things, whereas in this environment, you own your data. What are you going to do with it? There are more options available to the user, so we need to be able to easily show them that and guide them through, what is even on offer here. There's lots of things. It's a real balance. It's like you really want to push and show everything, but at the same time, you need to pin it back a little bit and be a bit more nuanced in how you do that. You don't want to be, frightening users away. I think one of the biggest things is getting your head around just what Layer 1X has to offer on a tech point of view, and being able to translate that into a product in the L1X app that we're developing, and really showcase the technology, but still keeping that Web 2 environment, that familiar environment, and slowly bringing it into what we're doing.
Yeah, and to kind of add on to what Chris was just saying, the change. As humans, we don't like change. It's just some of us do, but majority of the people do not like change whatsoever. And so as we design both the UI and UX, it's probably, I'll kind of break that down if you're not familiar with what that is here in a second. But what Chris is referring to is called shell shock, right? And it's kind of that when you come in, and if it feels unfamiliar to you, you're not going to use it. And as you're designing software, platforms, things like that, you've got to add in these key elements that seem familiar, but also you need to kind of push it along in an evolution journey as well to avoid that shell shock. And that way you can increase the adoption. You can just basically, kind of move people along. And anytime you introduce something new, it's got to be done in such a way that you, like Chris was saying, you educate people on certain things. And then once you feel like they're educated enough, then you can move on to something new. It's almost like you're teaching your children to do something. And then once they learn how to crawl, then you can work on teaching them how to walk, and then run, and then get the hell out of the house, right? So there's those kind of components. And so just to kind of circle back, when we use the terms UI, UX, UI stands for user interface, and UX stands for basically the back end, everything that's behind the user interface. It's all the back end stuff. So it's the user experience of when you click a button, what happens, right? What is it meant to do? It's kind of similar to when you drive a car and you get in and you put the key in the ignition and turn the ignition on. You expect the car to start, right? And so it's all that stuff that's under the hood of what we're trying to accomplish and build. And so that's the challenge that we're up against, but we're definitely up for it, right, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and being involved here at L1X, and what an awesome challenge this is. Being able to interpret this totally new way of doing things, this technology, and then taking it from what is ultimately Kevin's ideas and the Miro boards that he puts together, and then translating that into something that people can use. That's the challenge. So I've got shall I share some of my screens here?
I'd save that for later.
Save that for later. Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. You can share whatever you want. This is open mic night.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, Joe.
Is that cool with you, Joe?
Oh, I mean, I guess it's going to have to be, really, isn't it? I mean, is it going to be like a Kevin board? Because everybody loves a good Kevin board, but I suppose this is the Chris board.
Yeah, this is the Chris board. I mean, it's not quite as complex as the Kevin board, but all right. So this is kind of, I think, what we were talking about earlier, and this is really the challenge that we have. Being able to have a more user-centric and a approach to this technology, as opposed to letting the technology take over. Ultimately, it's how the user interacts with this platform. And for all the amazing things that the tech can do, it sort of really needs to be just in the background working, and people oblivious to it. So some of the things here, I think, that were highlighted here. Sorry, I got two screens here. So yeah, the technology, the business viability, and obviously the human needs, and how these things come together. And obviously, if you don't have that balance, you'll get poor adoption and poor engagement, ultimately, on the app that we're building. So this is where we started with the ONX app and the home screen. And when people land on here, we want to slowly introduce them to some of the features and products that we're building out. And this is a real challenge to not overload a user with all this new sort of information here. So we've really tried to pin it back, simplify it, and keep it in this widget format. And this format really means that you have to design in a way that you narrow down exactly what you're trying to do. You're not overloading them with too much information. So, and you'll be familiar with a widget environment. It's becoming even more common, I think, in software. And so this is where we started, and how we were going to build it up from this point of view. In the bottom left corner there, you'll see a little icon, a little filter icon. And that was one of the first things we did to help onboard and educate users into this Web3 environment. And you'll see here, wherever you are on the site, the what we call the flow filter can assist the user, and whether it's an interactive element, whether you're searching for something, or in this case, it's guiding them with information. And we really wanted it to be something that only shows up when it's really necessary. This screen here is our how do you connect. This is something we're working on at the moment. We're trying to really show the user the difference between different signups, for instance, like how far can you interact in an email environment as opposed to how far you can interact by connecting your wallet. And some people might not even have a wallet, and so we need to then explain to them and show them and guide them what a wallet is and how that works. And so these are some of the things that we're integrating into the ONX app to help guide the user. Here are some more screens of how we've designed out the flow filter and how it can be used to help make the experience easier. Whether it's an assist desk telling the users information pertaining to that screen, or whether you have a favorites, being able to save certain pages, screens that you want to quickly go back to. We've also got to filter the chain and the tokens. So when you're on a screen and you're looking at your portfolio, for instance, and you just want to look at everything you have on Solana and whatever asset it is, this is how we're integrating this flow filter into this Web3 environment. This so really, I think,
Yeah, and I think this is a good thing to kind of bring up. In UI design, there's a thing called accessibility, right? And so accessibility is basically designing for all users, regardless of their level of knowledge or accessibility, right? Or ability to do certain things. And a lot of times this involves color contrasts, text sizes, drop-down filters, keyboard navigations, things like that. Because this is kind of known as an assistive, can't even talk today, an assistive type of technology, right? And it like Chris was mentioning, it's an education thing, right? So if you're an iPhone user, for an example, you can go on and you can turn on your accessibility feature that allows you to have guidance of certain things with the clicks of the button, or it can help guide you through certain things. And this is a core fundamental that's not just used in the L1X app, but it's also used across the board in design, no matter the industry.
Yeah.
And beyond that is some things that Chris talked about. Chris, do you mind going back to the home screen real quick? So here, for an example, is another kind of fundamental that's used in UI design, which is called visual hierarchy, right? And so it's meant to guide people's eyes to certain locations based upon color, placement, size, things like that. And so this is a native way for a designer to subconsciously speak to a person's mind to get them to act in a certain way. And so we don't really realize it, but our subconscious mind does play a lot of direction on how and where we act and behave on certain things. Likewise, there's other kind of technology things. Maybe we'll get into it, maybe we won't on this call. But there's interesting technology that's out there that's utilized by places like Netflix and Google and Facebook and a lot of different social media apps that start forming cognitive behaviors for you to kind of naturally navigate to certain areas that they want you to do. And so the design process and the design philosophies and fundamentals around are amazing. And if you definitely want to go down some rabbit holes, Chris and I some questions, but YouTube's always a good thing to kind of learn some things on. So, but yeah. just food for thought there as well.
Yeah, I think the underlying thing is the intuitive nature. Always have your intuitive hat on, because that will guide you in the best way when it comes to all those things that you just talked about, Cody. So all those visual hierarchies, it's an intuitive approach, and it's a knowledge base that you build up as the longer you've been designing for. You have this knowledge that you can pull, and sometimes I forget. I've been at this game for a while, and you sort of forget some of the things that you're doing subconsciously. But there's always things that you as a designer forget as well, or you're not even aware of, because you're so consumed in this work. And it's always huge value in just getting feedback and testing and sharing this with the community and getting their feedback, and because they will always tell you something that you just hadn't thought of, and it's a real the best way to iterate and to move forward and improve this is just getting that feedback and that testing and getting the community involved in this, because ultimately, this is what we're building it for them, and all the insights and everything that they have to offer is hugely valuable to us.
100%. All right, Joe, you better ask a question, or else you're never going to probably host another one of my AMAs.
Going which way? My way to you, or your way to me?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm nervous to ask some of the ones from Fur here. I know he's like, I'm going to ask some difficult questions for you. And I mean, they are really good questions, and in relation to what you were speaking about previously. So one from just the questions on the topics we're on. How do you ensure accessibility for users with disabilities or unique needs in your user interface design? And I think that it's a great question. How do we do that? How do you make it so that it's so accessible so that everybody can use it? So just to have my say as well from some of the great points you guys were saying before is, we've already got structure and things inside of a level of Web3 in crypto. But what I think that every single one of us can agree upon is that it's not good. Like, it's hard for us to explain. And the easiest way to understand that is you go and grab somebody from down here at the shopping center that doesn't know about crypto and drag them back here and say, set me up a wallet. Zero chance they know how to do that. Like, it's an education process. And how do we make it so that education process is so seamless and so easy for somebody to do that they just plug straight in? And I suppose this ties into the first question is, how do we make it so that anybody is able to use this? How's it accessible? And obviously that's the really hard thing for you guys, because it's if you already have a level of knowledge, it's hard to not play on the fact that you already know that knowledge, which is, ties back to the first question we had. How do you make it so that you're not just going off what you know already exists in the Web 2 world? So to now pass that over to you, now that I've dropped that bomb of question, maybe Cody won't want me back after this.
No, I'll come back. I like these kind of hard questions. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of hard. So let's take, these are great questions, by the way, thanks for asking them. In terms of the disabilities and unique needs of your user interface, I think it's probably important to kind of discuss of like where we're headed with the L1X app, right? And maybe just Web3 in general, right? So if we take a step back and look at the full ethos of what Web3 is meant to be, it's meant to be decentralized, where you own your own content, but you create your own experience in a sense, right? And that's one of the kind of underlining fundamentals with the L1X app is that it's a gateway to the L1X blockchain. I don't even know if there's any blockchains out there that have taken the time to build this for projects, for their community, for their users, things like that. And, if you've been around with L1X long enough, you guys know that I hate dApps. I hate them with a passion, just because there's so much opportunity for fraud, phishing, and all these malicious activities that can happen. But on the flip side, the reason why I hate them is because it doesn't provide the user experience that I envision for where we want to take this type of thing. And if you've heard me before, it's all about bringing the dApps inside of our ecosystem to the point where you never have to leave this space that Chris is designing right here. You're able to jump from one DeFi project to another. Maybe you're playing a game and then you want to jump over and check out your rewards that you're getting through the L1 DEX. Or maybe you want to jump over and check out when your next, maybe you got your results back from your doctor on something and you want to jump over and check that. Or maybe you want to, start a conversation or a video conference while you're playing Elderune from the Digga Lab guys, and have a video chat with your other two buddies while you're playing the game, and you're not leaving the ecosystem, right? And I think that's where we can really start kind of providing that unique need for the interface to be custom. And then along with that, I mean, there's the traditional things that you can do for people with disabilities that, seeing problems, make larger text, hearing problems if they can't listen, adding captions, all the basic stuff that is currently in Web 2 can easily be imported and brought over for that. But I think the biggest thing is just the customization and bringing the projects to the user rather than taking the user to the projects.
Yeah, and it sort of brought up a thought. One of the things that we considered all the way from the beginning with the L1X app is to not overly brand it or overly give it its huge identity in its own right, because if we want third parties to build on our platform, we want them to be able to showcase what they have to offer without being overly, L1X branded, and keep it more of a generic environment and a clean environment. We can build out all the functionality and the experience and education, and build those functions into it to make it easier for our developers to come in and build on our platform. So if we can keep that as clean as possible, and make sure that we're ticking off all the boxes so that it's as accessible to everyone, and as you say, Cody, giving it a triple A rating for accessibility and usability, those ultimately are our goals, because we want to make it for everyone.
Yeah, and along that point is, I think the design element is probably the easiest component of this whole thing. Going back to second question that he asked about UX design process, and what those challenges that we've encountered are. For those that have been around long enough, that we started off doing the L1X wallet in the Chrome extension, and it was beautiful. Chris and I had a great summer kind of working on that side by side. We were joined at the hip, and it was fun being out in Australia working alongside of him. We designed it, but then we quickly ran into Chrome issues. Nothing on our end. It was Chrome. And those extensions are very limited in the capabilities of what they want to do. And if you remember, and if you've been listening to this, one of the objectives with the experience team when we were putting it together is that we wanted to push boundaries, try things that nobody's ever done before, and make it simple, right? And so we were being basically limited by a lot of different things. And so that's why we kind of paused, pivoted, and started working on the L1X app, because a lot of people don't realize, but this is pretty much the wallet, right? And that's what it's going to be. And it's really exciting, because it's bringing to fruition a lot of the different visions that Chris and I had about bringing stuff inside of the wallet that you never have to leave, and making it more secure and making it more accessible in that sense. And so some of the challenges that we've had is with the Chrome extension, but not only that, when you start combining all of these different elements that we're accustomed to, for an example, swaps or staking or digital identities, or the Explorer in alone, these are all siloed kind of experiences out on crypto right now. And we have, as crypto investors and enthusiasts, we've kind of accepted the way that it is, and we haven't kind of put our foot down and demanded better user experience. And so I'm excited that Chris and I are on the same page, because those are some of the obstacles that we're having to overcome, not only from a UX side, but also from a UI side. How do we bring all that data in to basically chunk it in a way that you can walk away without feeling overwhelmed in overload mode, but still be able to get and tackle the things that you want to get done? And having all those things communicate back and forth would be literally impossible without XTalk. I'm just telling you that from a designer standpoint, it would not be possible. And so I can say that the XTalk is pretty much the thing that brought me over and got me way excited about L1X. And every day that I work with Chris and the rest of the development design team makes me bullish because of where we're headed. And it's not a single destination. It's going to be an evolution and a revolution as soon as we start getting this thing pushed out more and more.
Yeah. And it sometimes I think I wonder where this is going to lead to, because of being able to transfer data. I mean, that just opens it up to so many possibilities. And what we're doing is trying to create this environment with the space cards and space CMS that allows easy access to these third-party apps that can be built onto the developers can build in to our platform. So if we can create that seamless environment for them to interact with it with their digital ID, which is the screen that you can see here, that's what is going to make it a lot easier for developers to come in and build on our platform. And this also allows for so many other things, connecting your social media and pulling your data and owning your data. And there's so many things. Sometimes you just really have to focus on the one thing and travel your thought through that. Otherwise you start jumping from idea to idea to idea.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing, kind of taking it a step back and looking at it from a developer standpoint as well. This is another hurdle that Chris and I and the rest of the team have kind of had to deal with is putting in these kind of almost guardrails for these developers that are going to be coming on, so that we can kind of set a standard. One of the things that we've been kind of promoting is our ability to allow NFT, like game NFTs, where you get a skin or a weapon or something like that, to be used in multiple games if the user wants. And yes, the space cards will play a part in that, but also it's raising the bar for developers to come in so that those NFTs can be used in various multiple games. And collaboration is definitely going to be the key to this. And it's where, like Chris was saying, more as we build this out and start building the foundation, the guardrails for projects to come in and build, it's almost like hey, you build it once and you're able to get into this and that from the different views that we're going to be doing, from mobile to desktop to browser, jokingly maybe a smart TV, or even your Tesla car we could probably get it into. I mean, it's once you build kind of the operating system of this whole thing, it's going to be paramount for these projects and wanting to come in and tap into like the identity things and the different resources, which is great for you guys, because as we roll out various components like ads platforms and things like that, you'll be able to start monetizing off of your data, which will be huge.
Yeah.
See, we've got a few questions. I think so. We're sort of talking about the human element at the moment, right? We've gone down the rabbit hole, let's say, and we're sort of on that aspect of it. And I think this question sort of really plugs into the question that we sort of had planned out to answer anyway. So just taking this from the community, there was a few that are very similar. But I'll just ask this: is there going to be a way to customize your own UI and move it, change it around to your own needs? And it's so you can make it more customizable, more uniquely you.
What do you think, Chris?
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's a big part of this. I mean, there is a color palette that we're currently using. The background, wallpaper. I can easily see that being customizable. You can change it up and have your own style on there. Maybe even we'll give the option to change, whether you have a dark mode, or you could change the UI to be aligned with the wallpaper in the background, or that kind of thing. The possibilities really are endless, and we're always considering. We're building on this new technology, so let's build a user interface that aligns with this something new. Let's push the boundaries. So giving that flexibility and the ability for the user to change it up just in the way that they own their own data on the platform. You can also own the way your experience is.
Yeah. And to add on to that, space cards are just the tip of the iceberg in terms of not only can you customize the look and feel, but space cards, the Space CMS is specifically designed to allow you to create NFTs, create videos, social posts, a lot of different things, right? And those components can then be added together and to basically create your own X apps, right? And so now, for an example, if you wanted to and you connected your existing Twitter handle, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn accounts to a profile card, you could make it so that every time you uploaded an image, you turn that image into an NFT, use that NFT in into another kind of space card kind of thing, Space CMS, and you make it into a social post. It goes live, you post it, you own the user generated content there, and it can post out to all of your different social media channels with just one quick click. And so those are kind of the cool things that you can do, and that's being automated because you just built that kind of flow by using stuff that you created. And so that gives another element of customization and being able to build the user experience in Web3 the way you want it.
Excellent. Let's keep charging on this. I see Fert loves to throw up the difficult questions as well. But this actually ties into the next bit a little bit. If I can join this, not like a bridge, like a landmass that's absolutely put together as if L1X had made it interoperability seamless. So let's have a go at that. So we obviously L1X generally we have ambitious goals. And what do we see are the most significant UI UX hurdles that we need to overcome to become that we are everything blockchain? What are some of the collabs we might need for that we haven't anticipated? And obviously not anticipating it, that means we're going to have to think about it right now. And so to tie in then Fur's question, which is how do you measure long-term success and impact of UI UX design beyond standard metrics like satisfaction and retention? I think that ties into, what are the hurdles that we see coming up? What are the things that we can then evaluate from those hurdles that are people actually needing this service? Are we taking something that's wildly complicated and simplifying it for the user to be excellent? Or are we adding in things that maybe we don't need? And how do we make sure that what we're providing to the community, to the users, is dead on what we need for future success? I know that's a really long-winded question, but please do the best you can with the materials you have around
that. First off, I want to say, hey, thanks everybody for leaving your questions in here. Please keep them coming. I love going off topic of what we had planned. Well, what Joe had planned, but usually when I host, I have got my own questions that I want to ask. But it's always good because I would prefer to go off script and talk about what you guys want to talk about. So yes, please keep them coming. So sorry, just a little shout out to the community there. So do you want to take this one first, Chris, or do you want me to?
That's passing. Chris, you take it.
So the question is, how do we measure the success of user experience? Is that right?
I think that's a good place to start. So how do we measure what the successes are outside of traditional metrics? And what are some of the, I suppose, significant hurdles that we might need to overcome with our UX, UI to become everything blockchain?
Yeah. Obviously, adoption is a big thing. The Space CMS, I think, is going to be a real game changer. And if we're able to onboard people seamlessly and they start interacting with it and getting the most out of it, I think that's a great metric. Even just seeing what people are going to do with this. being able to build something, design something, and then see what the community does with it, and taking that inspiration, I think, is a good way to direct where it leads to, and what we can do to improve that experience for people. Basically, when you're building something new like this, it's really hard. It's really difficult. You can't reference other things out there. There are existing products in Web 2 that have little bits of what we're doing, but we're combining a whole bunch of things, and that's where you need to really define what's important. How do we show this? How do we guide them here? So we're kind of on the journey with the user at the same time here, and that's why getting feedback is so important. We can see if we create these environments that allow users to do these things, and then see where that leads to. That's currently one of our biggest metrics, biggest ways of being able to know where we can channel our time and energy, and making it better and improving it, and those sorts of things. Cody.
I'm just reading a comment from Kevin here.
Okay.
Computers wouldn't be usable without graphical user interfaces on it 100%. Space CMS is adding GUI to the internet version of the blockchain. 100% agree with that. 100%. I've spoken about this a couple of times, so if you guys have had the opportunity to listen to some of the things I've given over the last year, I'm a big fan of not thinking outside the box. And the reason why I state it that way is because I feel like that's an over cliched term used in design and marketing and sales and business and all that kind of stuff. And the reason why I don't like to use that term is because, in my opinion, when you think outside the box, it's almost like adding a modular on or a bolt-on kind of thing to your experience, which sometimes works, but a lot of times it has a long tail repercussion to it, and it kind of disturbs the flow, right? And so I like to try to think inside the box, but thinking of ways to expand that box and keep growing it as you grow, right? So as you come into a new kind of ecosystem like this, for an example, it might be overwhelming at the very beginning because there's so much going on, right? And on the flip side of that is, as soon as you start becoming and almost gaining confidence in understanding it and mastering the environment that you're in, that's where human behavior starts kind of kicking in, right? If you think about games that you've ever played, if they're a little challenging at the very beginning, you're going to spend a lot of time and effort into playing it because you want to master it, right? But once it becomes easier and easier and easier, your attention span with it starts getting lower and lower and lower. And so a good design of UI UX will expand that box as you grow within the ecosystem. So hopefully that makes sense. And for me, that is a good measure of success. Did we win? And it goes way beyond just the retention KPIs, the key performance indicator kind of things that we look for. And overall, are we able to keep up with the speed that people want to kind of keep growing, right? Because there's going to be users that come in that are basically new to crypto, that don't know everything, and they're going to be in the box like this. But then you've got people like Joe that are way over here, right? And knows everything about crypto and basically is got his beard going because he's full of wisdom when it comes to crypto knowledge, right? And so sorry, dude, I've always got to give you props. I'm kind of jealous because I'm kind of light on everywhere, right? But yeah, I mean the whole component to this thing is like literally driving to what you guys want, and that's what customer or user experience is all about, is keeping that user-centric approach to design, both on the front end and on the back end. And that's where I kind of like really think that that's where we measure our success, is are we able to keep up with your guys' needs? And by implementing these tools, you can dictate that. It's just that we have to build those tools and that infrastructure along with those guardrails. So as projects come on, they can easily integrate themselves into our ecosystem of this. And to be honest, it really is an awesome feat that Chris and I get to work on along with the rest of the design and development team, because we're taking Kevin's vision and we just get to have fun with it. It's like, what can we come up with today, to kind of add more use case to the technology that Kevin's spending so much time and effort on building to change the industry. And that's what we're doing, is we're changing the industry.
Having the opportunity to design products on a new platform that gives users more accessibility and ownership, and all the things that a blockchain provides, but the interoperability of it and being able to access your data in that environment, that means we can build more features and products within the app that cater to that underlying technology. I think as developers start building on our platform, they're really going to be able to do things that we haven't even thought of as well. And so being able to facilitate an environment that best onboards them as well and makes it as easy and seamless as possible for what they're building and for the users to interact with it within our ecosystem. That's one of the key things here that we're always thinking about when we're designing the app.
Yep, 100%. I'm going to jump ahead of you, Joe. I saw a great one I want to jump on. This one's from Deb Jones. Great question. Does the space card want to be? Oh, geez. You keep asking questions. Hold on. I don't have my glasses on, so I have to get close. Does the space card? Yeah, do you know which one I'm trying to get at?
Yes. Does the space card want to be an alternative to current social authenticators like Google, Facebook, or Apple sign-in that's integrated in apps and websites? That was the right one?
Yep. Short answer, yes. Yes, we definitely want to do that. And that's the sole purpose of having these profile cards, right? Is not only do you own your data, but you're able to segment out the data. If you look at the design that Chris and the team have kind of put together, you have your social, you have your main investor account, you have your health, you have your gaming. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know I'm missing one. There's like 5 of them, but I think you get the point there. And you can actually create multiple profiles underneath gaming, for an example, right? You could also create multiple ones underneath an investor one. And the cool part is that when you connect those to the different projects, you control the data of what they get to see. And in a sense, it is just like using Google, Facebook as a more secure login. And the reason why I'm mentioning that it's a secure login is because Kevin has designed some pretty cool tech that we haven't really even started to explore, but having some deep conversations with him while I was there in Australia we have the capability. Let's just say you're playing a game that requires you to be 18, right? Or maybe it's a gambling game or something like that, right? And you have to give up your date of birth on normal things. Well, in Web 2, how that basically is that, everybody just checks the box. Yes, I'm 18, and I go on and start playing, right? Or they put in some fake birth date because they know that it's going to pass that check that they have to have. to verify that you're 18. Well, with this, when you connect it, you don't even have to share your date of birth with them. There's almost like a veil in front of your date of birth there, and all we see is it's the old Jedi mind trick. This person is 18. Let them go through, right? And that's the capability that we can do, and that's why these space cards are going to be so important. Is because they're a full deck, and that full deck is your whole online persona of who you are, and it's a great way of how we're breaking it out so that you can segment out your data.
Mm-hmm.
Think that answers, or do you want to add more to that, Chris?
Yeah, no, I think you answered that brilliantly. Yeah.
I see we've got more hard questions here from Fer, but there's one from Crypto Psycho that I think that I, even if you would, I'd like to tackle. I know. Maybe
all right, go for it.
So how do we address our user opinions that we're taking away from what everybody already knows, MetaMask, Trust Wallet, dApps, things like that, and funneling towards the L1X app? And my rebuttal to something like that would be, we're in the crypto. We know we're on the cutting edge. We know that the things that are being developed are obviously new age, and things are developing at such a rapid rate that it's hard sometimes to keep up. Now, if you liken that to where we were, I don't want to say 20 years ago, but I suppose it was 20 years ago with the mobile phones, right? What was the first thing you had? And it was, well, at the time, it was cutting edge technology, but you look back now and you go, that is garbage. And you think you had a Nokia N95, and that's the top tier thing. You can play bounce on there. You can do all these other things. And then Snake, everything you could possibly ever want. And it did calls, it did text messages, all that stuff. And that was the very best available. And then somebody comes out with this thing called the iPhone. And they're like, look, it's a touch screen. You'll be able to do this. And obviously there's a level of hesitance there to begin with, where people go, what is this? There's no buttons. I'm not going to be able to use the QWERTY thing. I'm all down for texting like this while I'm driving and I don't have to look at it. Whatever. All those things that the degens used to do. And I loved bounce, exactly. And so there's this transition between tech and tech where we go, that's unfamiliar and I'm not comfortable with it and I don't understand. But that doesn't mean that the thing that is being built doesn't have far better capabilities and things that are, I suppose, beyond our current imagination of what's possible. And that's if we plug in standard things like MetaMask and Trust Wallet versus the L1X app. Like, how do you access a website at the moment through MetaMask or Trust Wallet? You have to go in through the in-app browser, you go to the app like that. And look, honestly, it works and it's fine because that's all we know. That's the only thing we know so far. Now, if you were then showed something that was completely integrated and all inside of the L1X app and it worked seamlessly, similar to how, I suppose an app inside an iPhone works versus how a previous phone would have worked, the difference is chalk and cheese. Like, it's significant. But obviously there has to be that moment of time where you leap from A to B and go, wow, there is a big difference here. But also then there's a learning difference, a curve of we're coming from what we know as how we've used it before to how we need to use it in the future. Because it's different doesn't mean that it isn't the right way forward into the next level of tech. That would be there we go. That's it.
Very good.
You're hired, my friend. You just got to start on the experience team.
Yes, sign me up. Now I'll ask first questions so you can handle that bad stuff. So here we go. So I like this question because I think it definitely I could see this would be something that you guys would probably come across, and even between the two styles of backend for the app, which would be there's UI UX people on the front, the developers, right? And we have then developers that have the ideas in the back end about how they want something to work. And then you've got the front end that goes, this is how it should look. And I imagine that doesn't always meet up with your either expectations and visions. And I assume that's quite often a complicated discussion. The question is, for budding UI UX designers, how you deal with such situations while ensuring that you're still creating what's best for the user and also taking into account the vision of the devs.
Oh, that's a good loaded question.
Yeah.
I mean, big danger question there.
I mean, let's take a real world example here. Okay. If you're in a business and you're in, like, let's just say marketing, for an example, or sales or operations or customer service or whatever. If you look at those kind of companies, they're very siloed in what they do, right? And there are a few people that can jump boundaries and speak the language of other people. I've had the pleasure to be able to do that. Chris is definitely learning that right now, and it's a great opportunity. For me and in my career, as I've gone through the different stages of being a business owner, being just a normal worker, kind of lead design kind of thing as well. You kind of learn new skill sets, and for me, I've always gone the data and kind of like coding route. And one of the best things that I did for myself as a designer is learn how to code HTML. And back in 2016, 2017, I'm not the greatest. I can throw together a somewhat of my design a little bit, but for me, it helped me resonate and speak that language, so that when I do work with parts of our team that are scattered across the world at the time, I can find resolution and I can get them on the same page, and that is paramount to have that kind of skill set. And so, it is a unique art. I'll just put it that way, because developers definitely think a different tone than designers do. We behave totally different. Chris and I love to just kind of, I don't know, while we were there, we went on a couple of long walks just to talk about design and things like that. And we came back to the office and we were able to get it done. Right. And it's, those kind of things. And it is a complicated process, but I think overall, if everybody knows what the end solution is that we need to get to, and be willing to kind of listen and to collaborate and to give and take a little bit, it always works out in the end. I've worked on numerous teams that have been that way, and it's always come out very successful.
And understanding the limitations of the tech, and like as you said, learning some basic language like HTML and CSS. That was something that I did a few years ago, and it does give you a different insight into where the developers are coming from. Obviously, those languages aren't, quite what the devs here at L1X are doing, but it's about being able to bridge what they're trying to achieve with what we're trying to do, and having that open communication, super important. And I think just always been open as well, like considering what the challenges they have and what they're trying to achieve, and then how do we keep that, the essence of everything there, but from a design point of view, interpret that from into a user experience, and sometimes you'll have there'll be a solution that you think, well, that I'm not sure about that, because I think it really maybe there's too much cognitive overload on the page now. You're trying to introduce this thing here, but the goal here of this screen was to do this. Is there another way we can incorporate that? Can we have a different hierarchy here? There's all these sorts of things that you can communicate with the devs and ultimately get the best solution.
Yeah. And the thing that I like, I really enjoy working with Kevin for this very reason. He pushes me like no other. I come to him with ideas and I try to push him, and he's like, oh, I already designed that like 6 months ago, Cody. Yeah, it's just sitting there. And it's like, oh, great. And I'm thinking I'm coming out with this cool, new, innovative thing. And, and as I present things to him, he's presenting things back to me. And it is one of those kind of relationships where we both are vision type of people and see the big picture and kind of go. and work ourselves backwards to where we're at. And it's kind of nice to be able to have those kind of conversations with a deaf guy, right? And have somebody be able to see that vision and have his influence and his touch and his guidance on how we can kind of bring all this siloed technology together and utilize it with all the stuff that he's built. And it's been awesome that way. I've worked with other founders and head CTO type of people that are just like, nope, not happening, Cody. We're not going to build that out. That'll take us this much time and this much money. And, Kevin's like, leave it with me. I'll figure it out. And like within 3 days, he's got a solution for it. Right. And that is totally a breath of fresh air for us from a design standpoint, because it allows Chris and I to just keep running and sprinting and designing more and more and more.
I've never worked in a environment where if you pose a question to Kevin and he'll be thinking instantly, trying to work out how he can make that happen. Which is amazing, really, because it does make you feel like, well, I'm not restricted here, and he'll listen to what suggestions that you have. Hey, how about this? What about this? And so that it's a great working environment to have that, and just how fast it happens too. So agile here at L1X. When an idea can be brought to fruition within such a short time. That's definitely a new experience for me as well.
Yep. Sweet. Do we have any other good questions, Joe?
Oh, I mean, there's always more good questions. I know we've been on a journey here. Like we said,
let's go.
So here we went to like we got to the title down the rabbit hole, and then the rabbit hole was, as it turns out, community questions, which interestingly didn't line up too differently to what we had planned anyway, which I think is excellent. There's a question from Escobar, which I think it's great because it opens up. I started thinking about what are the possibilities, right? We've spruiked a lot saying, the app is the idea is the grandma can use it. Anybody can use it. You take it around to the granny's house and be like, there, bang, here, sign yourself up a wallet, go for it. It should be that simple. But so he's put up here, how do we make it so it's appealing to all age groups, keeping it user-friendly while adopting and making the best of new technology, not just grandma, but perhaps younger users as well. And where my brain went with that is like, how many things are there like learn to earn kids games where there's all these other things like, you get this for doing chores, you get this for doing this. Is there a stage where we see UI, UX, where it becomes so simplified from an L1X perspective that you can be like, oh, hey kids, like I want you to do your chores, maybe do some of these math problems inside the L1X app, and there's an L1X airdrop for I don't know whatever, but is that I just want my kids to do what they should, Can we design that?
I love that. Are you needing it for your kids or something? Is that why?
No. Not yet. I imagine I'm forward thinking. I'm forward thinking for when the younger ones are. I'm like, how can I incentivize them as well as teach them about financial security through obviously the best platform that's giving them all of the things they need from one place. That's what I'm saying, and I want you, Cody and Chris, to be able to facilitate and fix that problem for me.
Well, I might have to. Oh, I was just going to say, I might have to build it myself because my youngest, who's 6, keep in mind he's 6, told my wife the other day that he was having a hard day or something, and my wife's he didn't want to go to school or something, and my wife's like, well, I could always homeschool you. He's like, really? Cool. Would you be my teacher? And she's like, yeah, I would be your teacher. And he's like, can I do it online? And he's like, I don't want you to be my teacher, but I'll do it online though. And so it just kind of gave me a good idea that we should create a thing like that'll have AI in there based upon their age and grade level and teach them automatically. I mean, not too far
I
off
think
in the distance, I could see something like that happening for sure. So
yeah, the gamification of interacting with the platform is a brilliant way. Like if you're having fun, that means that you're learning and it's easy and it's intuitive. Like just in the same way, Cody, my 7-year-old son was off school sick the other day, and we put him on a one of these learning gaming websites, and and so he spent all day on this thing, and he's learning, and he's loving it, and he's going, Dad, I've gone way beyond my screen time, but it's so good, and it's hard to say no because he's kind of learning all this stuff, and and there's so much.
You've tricked them into.
Yeah, I would rather have my kids doing that, learning how to do that kind of stuff and getting educated rather than learning how to do a headshot while jumping off of a car in Fortnite from 100 meters away, right?
Why can't we have both?
There's a time and place for everything, Joe.
Yeah.
I would rather have them learn a more useful skill that they can use in life than that. So, but yeah.
Anyway,
I'm just saying.
First put up this excellent tagline, I think, a rhyme for the L1X app, where wonders unfold, grandmas and babies find stories untold. Well done, sir. Well done.
You get a gold star, my friend.
Can I give him a gold star on here? Oh, you can. I don't know what that button does. That's big danger. Yeah, so like we said, we've been off the rabbit hole. We're a bit all over the place, but that's okay. It's all part of the learnings. I think that's a lot of the community questions are answered, and I know I'm conscious of your guys' time because obviously, somebody does actually have to do the building. It's you guys aren't as privileged as me to be able to sit around and talk to everybody for part of the role. So we had a question here that's a wrap-up question, and if there is anything else you wanted to answer from our previous transcript, by all means, just jump in and let me know. But if not, I'll ask this last question. Is there anything else before that you guys want to dive into?
Do you want to share some alpha?
Oh, I love alpha.
Or should we wait?
Alpha. I'm just trying to think of what else. Well, there's alpha there. Do you want to share that, Cody? It's sure, literally alpha X.
Yeah, this will be good. So with everybody asking about X perks, we are in the process of creating the Alpha X room, which basically will be for those that go in and stake inside of the, I believe, platinum and gold level of the X perks program coming up here soon. That will give you exclusivity into this alpha room. As you can kind of see from the tabs across the top, there's going to be some pretty cool things coming up with videos, chats just like this that talks about early access, L1X partnership alphas, community chats, alpha videos, and so much more. And so, yeah, it'll be a great little VIP group, and it's going to be an exclusive partner to the L1X app community. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, it's going to be fun. Chris and I have had some fun kind of talking about how to design this one out. And there's going to be a couple of good little features in there as well. But yeah, anything else you want to share beyond that?
I think that's all. Yeah.
Okay. We got to keep some things under the cuff here.
Yeah.
Right? We can't get it all.
Under the hat.
Yeah.
Under the hat.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So a little bit of sneaky alpha, not too much sneaky alpha, but a little bit of sneaky alpha. We'll dive into this last question. So for each of you, I suppose this is just an excellent closing question. What keeps you most excited about the future of L1X, its potential to reshape, and how we think about blockchain interactions?
I'll let you go, Chris.
What keeps me excited? I think ultimately, when I first started here at L1X, working on the Chrome wallet, I didn't see how this would continue and all the possibilities that the interoperability of L1X offers. So it's like working here isn't necessarily easily. The path can go in lots of directions. So it's exciting because the tech allows for all these possibilities, and being able to be involved in designing out these new products. That's the exciting part. Who knows where this is going to go to? I can see lots of, as we move forward, I can see how that's going to go down this path, and we can do this and this and this. So yeah, ultimately, it's not like working somewhere where there's all these structures and exactly this industry. This is so exciting, and who knows? I think ultimately that's really just the whole world of your imagination going in any direction. Who doesn't like that?
Well said. Joe, how about you?
Oh, a question for me. What keeps me most excited about the future of L1X? I think for me, it's how much potential it has to fulfill so many of the gaps that we see as native users. So, like I said, new people coming in, I don't think get the experience that we have, because ideally, in an ideal world, if all of us have done our job fantastically, they land in the Discord, they get the L1X app, we've sent them there, they open it up, they go bang, bang, bang. They're basically playing with the iPhone 15, to continue on my analogy, and they're just scrolling and it works, and they're like, look at all these whiz bang things we can do. Meanwhile, us from back in the dinosaur days of the iPhone, or before the iPhone, back when it was like you had to have a paper wallet to connect to anything or anything like that, and it was just all send money here and hope for the best. We're still living in that past, and there's so many things that we, I think, just deal with because we don't know any better, or there is nothing else built at this stage. But because we've worked it out, we now just discount it and go, yeah, of course you have to plug into this and get that, and this comes up and you sign that and this over here and then there's that there. Like, of course that makes sense. It's really easy. And then somebody that's new to that goes, what the hell is all this? Like, it's a mess. And so what I'm really excited about is the people that are landing here don't have to deal with that. And that means that for them, when they go to somebody else and say, oh, jump on, like grab some L1X and do this, it is that simple. They jump on, they grab some L1X and they do this. Like, and it allows them to come into the ecosystem, and it to be so easy for them to then go, oh, I want to use DeFi. I want to be in charge of my own finances. Oh, I want to use a learning app. I want to do this. I want to venture through the Explorer and see CMS, or even some of the influential space, or any of that sort of stuff. I want to watch my videos of my favorite people on the L1X app. I click one button and it's there immediately. And I think that is so exciting for the prospect of how users in the future will be able to just plug in and it be there. I think that's huge. I think it's huge because it shows real adoption use case of something that we already inside the blockchain world love, and that's the decentralization of so many current infrastructures that we see issues in as users, whether that's CeFi or whatever. So, so many things we like about DeFi, but it's still clunky. Imagine when it's not and you're in control. So those are things I'm like, that to me is very exciting. And why it's exciting for the L1X perspective is I see the vision from the team and obviously have that privileged knowledge of seeing the direction of what's coming and, what's on the cards going forward. And it's like, wow, nobody's anticipating what's coming up, because we've got so many things in the pipeline that are absolutely going to blow people's minds, I think, in the next, not just weeks, but months, years, decades even. So that's my wrap on that.
No, those are both great insights and perspectives coming from two different worlds, right? And, for me, what keeps me excited about L1X is I've been blessed enough to have the opportunity to go out and do lots of AMAs. over the last couple of weeks in preparation to just building up the hype and getting the word out about our TGE happening on the 2nd of April, and us finally getting this thing to fruition, right? And as I'm speaking with all these different groups, it's amazing to see the innovation and the drive that a lot of people have. And for me, it's fun when I see the aha moment overcome their face and they realize what we actually are able to do, that we're not here to compete with them. We're here to unite them. And that we're here to create that seamless experience across the board, right? So allowing that for that grandma to be able to log in, and no matter where the game that she wants, the solitaire is hosted on, whatever chain, she can come to the L1X app, where the source destination for her is, and allow the L1X app to bring that experience to her. And once these projects kind of, have these conversations with me as I'm participating in these panelist conversations, it's really interesting to see where, a lot of these projects' heads are at. And I'll tell you what, this bull run, there's going to be some great projects coming out. And all I can say is this: we wish you the best of luck from the L1X standpoint, and we're here to support them, and hopefully they have see some great success on their end, because there's a lot of great people that are out there that are truly trying to innovate and trying to move the space. And that's what gets me excited, is because of our interoperability that we have that ability to extend our hand out and say, hey, give them a high five and say, we're here. If you need anything, let us know. And we want to provide that gateway for you so that we can help you achieve your success. And it's been awesome. We've actually gathered quite a few different projects that are now going to start building on us as a result of those AMAs. Likewise, it's opened the door for us to even meet other people. You've heard me say it many times on AMAs that we've done on X Spaces is, open your mouth, talk to anybody and everybody about it. And you never know who you're going to talk to that sparks the innovation. And the back half of that keeps me motivated is like, what we're doing here is great. We're kind of setting the foundation. But I'm waiting for the next person to bring the next use case to crypto. Tokens are a great example of a use case for blockchain technology. We're starting to see things pop up with real world tokens and tokenization, depends, and things like that. We're also seeing music industry, NFTs starting to add more things into them, and so there's a lot of great industries that are coming, and they're going to slowly start adopting into those. And after a while, people will kind of forget about the whole focus on getting all these meme coins and stuff like that. That'll always be there, but I feel like we'll start paying more attention to the actual technology of what can be done to simplify our life, and not just have it as a speculative type of gamble play. And that's where I feel like, to kind of sum this up, is this: as soon as people realize that they're an actual shareholder in the Web3 experience, that's when everything will change for them. And that's when they'll have that aha moment. And that's when the real creativity filter in our brain starts going, which is known as a distortion filter, right? Because once that starts going, the world's their oyster at that point. And that's what I'm excited to see. And I know that L1X will be there to help them build it. So.
Awesome. I think that's an excellent wrap up from everyone. That's everybody's good there. We're good. So
I'm good. Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll end up in more. I know between the three of us, we'll end up in a lot of rabbit holes if we keep doing this. We'll, it'd be time for us to log on to this next thing. So, the plug from here also is in 6.5 hours from now. There is also another space that we're using, StreamYard. So it'll be on X, it'll be on YouTube, and also be on native StreamYard. It's definitely one that I think everybody needs to be on, because it's Kevin speaking about his very
technical analysis.
Technical analysis of the virtual machine. So just like we've had Cody and Chris here to go through the the design aspects, the VM for Kevin is the same. This is his moment. This is his baby, let's say. And so that's going to be on a whole nother level, because it's going to be something that he's talking about where it's been all his brainchild to grow from. So that's 6.5 hours from now back on StreamYard, and that's going to be a fantastic spaces as well. But huge thanks to Chris and to Cody for being here and obviously giving us the insights from the UI UX. It's so good to have you guys on to be able to share your perspective for us in the community, because as we say, there's a lot of stuff that happens on the community side where we're sort of like, oh, what's going on over here? And I find there's sometimes a gap where this doesn't talk to this quite often, and it's sort of like there's a lot of stuff happening here and there's a lot of stuff happening here, but it's hard to bridge that gap sometimes and go, well, that's what's happening. And having these moments in these spaces allows us to bridge that gap and really bring community and the back end team together, so that we can get to know everybody, we can get to understand what the roles are, and also how sparse the team is in terms of abilities of everything we've got going on. So, there's so many roles inside L1X that are driving towards the success of the protocol. So it's really good to have you guys on here to be able to show your perspective and your angles. And we really appreciate, once again, having you here. And we also appreciate having the community be able to jump on and listen in to everything you've got to share with us. So thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for being here.
Make sure that airdrop.
Yes, it's coming. So if you haven't seen on the X already, there's been a little bit of a sneak peek about something that's coming up with Stage 2 airdrop. So make sure that you're checking a few of the socials throughout the day. We've got something coming up very, very shortly. And yes, to confirm, the classic Kevin board is coming up next as well. So lots of good things on for today. One more thing to remember, Friday through to Tuesday at some stage, X-Perks will go live as well. So basically what I'm saying is you cannot sleep between now and next Wednesday.
We're getting down to the last few hours here. I mean, we should have a big board up that says countdown, right?
Yeah.
It's all hands on deck right now.
It's a surprise. You don't get to know when, which is even more exciting. The anticipation, you got to be awake the whole time.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll close this out. Like I said, we'll get into other wild journeys and rabbit holes. But once again, thanks everybody for being here. We will see you all on the next one.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, guys.